Hey there folks, Joey DeAngelis here with a discussion video on some recent news. This popped up on my feed a few days ago. I'll post a link to the article in the video description, but I just wanted to talk about this for a minute. So, a few days ago, or was it a week or two ago, we had the Oscars, and Birdman obviously won Best Picture. We had 8 Oscar nominees, which is lower compared to the 9 or 10 we've had for the past couple of years, but 8 is still a lot more than what we used to have, 5. And the Academy, is always looking to make changes and see what it can improve on, is actually looking to go back to its 5-film format. Now, back in, 2008? In 2008, then into 2008, a lot of people complained about certain films not getting nominated for Best Picture, one of those films being The Dark Knight, which for a lot of people was the best film of 2008. The Best Picture winner of that year was Slumdog Millionaire, which I've watched it recently and it has not aged well, but that's besides the point. The Academy decided to nominate anywhere from 5 to 10 films. So for the next couple of years, they've been nominating anywhere from 8 to 10 films. So, to help avoid certain snubs, but this also opens up its own can of worms, and reverting back has a lot of problems, but also I can understand to a certain degree why they would want to revert it back to 5. Now, when you look at the Best Picture race, it usually comes down to 2 films ultimately. This year it was Boyhood versus Birdman. In other years, some people would have argued maybe Argo versus Lincoln, or 12 Years a Slave versus Gravity. There's some battles. Usually you know who the winner is, but sometimes there are 2 films generally people perceive to be the front runner or front runners. And when you have 8 or 10 films nominated for Best Picture, it's pretty, it's easy regardless, but a lot of the nominees for Best Picture really have no chance at that point. Like, some of them are just there because they're there. Did anyone have any realistic expectations that Selma would take home the Oscar for Best Picture? I would hope not, because that had 0 chance. It had a lot of other factors going against it, sure, but just at the end of the day, it was a film that, if it was in the 5-film system, probably would not make it. I can easily tell you what films probably wouldn't make the 5-film system. Birdman, Boyhood, Grand Budapest, Imitation Game, and The Theory of Everything. Those films would have been nominated for Best Picture, and the other bunch of films, Whiplash, Selma, and American Sniper, would not have been nominated. Although American Sniper could have been nominated, particularly because of the subject matter. I guess they can recognize stuff like that. But in any case, the problem with having 5 nominees is that there are so few films in there that inevitably you're going to snub some films, or certain films won't get recognized. Whereas if you had anywhere from 5 to 10 and you had something like, 8 nominees, you're less likely to leave out certain films. Although films can still be left out. A lot of people were surprised that Nightcrawler didn't pick up more nominations. You look at that and you just say to yourself, wow. And you look at it, it's amazing that Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture in a time when the Academy was 5 films for Best Picture. That's insane. Whereas you had Toy Story 3 and Up were released in eras where you had 10 Best Picture nominees. Just to put that in perspective. The impact of the nomination is increased also if there are less nominees. So if you feel cooler if your film is nominated against only 4 other films as opposed to being nominated against, 7, 8 other, or sometimes 9 other films. However, there are certain films that really deserve the recognition and are really boosted by the assistance of the additional nominees. For example, Whiplash. Whiplash is arguably one of the better nominees for Best Picture. Did it have any realistic chance of winning? No, not necessarily, but it was great to see it nominated because it really was one of the best movies of 2014. It's really nice to see nominees like Whiplash. They're not, I mean, to a certain degree, they're an Oscar film, but they're not Oscar films like Imitation Game or Theory of Everything, where you look at them and you say to yourself, yep, this film is genetically engineered to win awards. So that's just my little rant or discussion on the Academy changing their Best Picture policy. If you have any thoughts on this, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later.